start one over here. A lot of you probably have already seen this at other events, and so please pass it around, and it shows some of my views. I'm going to first tell you a little bit about me, and then a little bit about the campaign, and then a little bit about my platform. I have about 25 years of law enforcement related experience. A good chunk of that, the majority of the chunk of that has been in actual direct police work, but I've also did about 4 years with the Department of Homeland Security and 4 years with the United States Air Force as a law enforcement specialist. I have recently figured out that I actually have more direct law enforcement experience than my two opponents, plus the current sheriff, plus the former sheriff combined. And I think that's really important. Sometimes folks, I've heard, well, you're not running for deputy sheriff, you're running for sheriff, and that's very true. But I think you really need to have a good grasp on what this industry is about, and not just from a management level, but from the bottom level, working your way up to really understand what needs to be fixed in this department. Politically, I have experience. I was a city councilman and mayor from 1999 to 2005 in the city of Citrus Heights. And I think that's given me actually a very important level of experience in the political arena, because the sheriff is a political position. I've been able to establish relationships with all the people on the Board of Supervisors, most of the people on all of the city councils that now are around the Sacramento area. And those are good relationships, and those are going to be important when we come to the time when we talk about regionalism, which is something that Scott did talk about. One thing that I have that neither of my opponents have is business-related experience. I've spent the majority of the last 10 years in the private sector in middle and upper management level experience. That, I think, has given me some incredibly important experience in dealing with what needs to be at the Sheriff's Department now, which is to run a department in a business fashion. This department has gone from almost a $400 million department to about a $350 million department. There is no revenue problem in the Sacramento Sheriff's Department. There is definitely a spending problem in the Sacramento Sheriff's Department, and that's what needs to be focused on. About the campaign, again, on the flyer, you get one sometime tonight. There are 5 main things that I want to focus on in regards to rebuilding the Sheriff's Department, and that's what I think needs to happen. It needs to be reinvented, it has to start at the top, and a culture needs to change. First one is restructuring the department. What I mean by that is this department has gone from 180 managers in 1998 to 281 managers in 2008. At the same time, they decreased the number of deputies, and they also decreased the area of responsibility because Elk Grove and Citrus Heights went with their own independent departments. I think that should show you a clear example of what's wrong with the department and why the resources are not being spent properly. Some of the things that Scott touched on, I'll just drop down to number 5 on that list, and that's the regional effort. I've been talking about the regional effort for a whole lot of time. I'm glad that Scott is talking about it now, because it is important. We need to do things now, like get away from what the department did, having 2 full-time SWAT teams, having helicopters up in the air servicing everybody without everybody sharing in the cost, and doing all kinds of things in a fashion that isn't really normal to law enforcement, so that we can save money, and also other departments, smaller departments like Citrus Heights, Elk Grove, Rancho Cordova, can have those resources that they can't afford, but they should also be expected to share in the cost. Bouncing back up on that list, number 2 on my list is giving you the opportunity to protect yourself, and this is going towards the concealed weapons issue. This has been a passionate issue for me for a long time. When I became a Citrus Heights City Council member, one of the first things I did was hold a public forum on Second Amendment rights. I couldn't get my own city to buy off on the fact that we should issue permits to folks to allow them to protect themselves. They turned it over to the Sheriff's Department, and basically nobody saw permits. I don't know if Scott's correct tonight when he said that Mr. McGinnis has handed out more permits than Mr. Blandis did. I don't think that's correct. But regardless, they're both just about none. And I'm glad that Scott has a better view of it. I believe he does. I believe he's sincere. But I also believe that it doesn't come to my level. We're on record as one of my opponents saying that we should turn the issue over to the state, which is frightening. And Scott is also on record as saying that he believes self-defense is not a cause, a reason to give you a CCW. My belief is that you have a right to protect yourself. My job as a sheriff is to protect that right. If folks want to have a CCW, if they aren't a mental case, have a drug problem, or have a history of violence, and they live in Sacramento County and they're over 18, they'll get a CCW. Most folks won't want that, but a lot of folks want to make sure that we protect that right, and that's what we'll do. There's some other things on that list, but I think like Scott said, it's more important to find out what you want to talk about directly. So I'll take some questions, and then I know hopefully when we do a little back and forth, you'll see our differences. We're very much alike. I believe in my heart that Scott is a good man. I am glad that he is running because he is a good alternative to what we have now in the department. And with that, I'll stop and take questions if you like.